Beyond death, beyond barriers that separate us in life, beyond differences of opinion and perspective, there's a personal warmth and compassion that we feel as human beings. That emotional center is a resource for improving our understanding of others and then developing ideas and attitudes that benefit our commonly held purpose. Though separated by time and space, the characters populating Opium Confessions on a Swing bridge the distance between generations, ethnicities, economic classes, and even cross the boundary between life and death. They exist as such to promote conversation. These opium confessors hear each other, and what is more important, whether they believe creating safe spaces for heroin injection be morally right or wrong, they feel each other's broken hearts. They wander. Thus searching, they swing together. They respect the annihilation that they have witnessed on and off the playground. In this sense, they are one another's witnesses. So they gather in the vague light where they meet during those moments after dawn on a playground where children do not have the luxury of playing. But where addicts shoot up and where the school teacher awaits with the other people living and dead who haunt him. In that offensive place, intended originally to bring joy to innocent children, they meet to lament the loss of their innocence. That they share. From that sharing, audiences may learn ways of connecting across the gulfs, temporal, spatial, political, historical, and cultural, that we are capable of filling with our most humane concern. As we learn that humanity, our abilities to share our thoughts, to converse, to learn from one another, and to develop solutions may also grow. I did not create these characters. They came to me with the anger and the compassion, the disappointment, the hope, the entertaining traits, the odd insights, and the genius for the human that they spontaneously display on the page and in performance. Thus, Opium Confessions is a play whose purpose is to appeal through playful gravity of these hauntings for audiences to reflect and converse and collectively to grow. The brevity, God bless you, of Opium Confessions permits time and space at the conclusion of the play for the audience and the actors, as well as producers, to come together for a conversation about the questions posed at the plot's delirious edges. Never delirious, however, in the manner of opium's highs and lows. Our purpose here is to respect the desire of the confessors to share their common sense of what can be done about this world. If even just a small corner of it located in a neighborhood otherwise forgotten. That corner is, of course, where the audience can begin its work of being haunted by these characters and seeking to continue their search for something better.
The play takes place in Franklinville, a make-believe city similar to Philadelphia. Thomas De Quincey, author of Confessions of an English Opium Eater, emerges to the stage from the orchestra pit where DJ has been rocking a low volume, yet syncopated and infectious beat. De Quincey appears young, aristocratically dressed down in early 19th century form of grunge, lightly unshaven, his hair tossed, his doublet somewhat ungive.
Dear idle audience, in my day, I was famed or infamous for my now 200-year-old account of opium addiction. Oh, what regrets these centuries have taught me to endure. Without the simple peace of rest, I appear from time to time to witness what perils drugs illuminate, what confusions, what heartlessness unleashed from opium eaters and those loved ones who they imperil. The action happens on a rusted, although still colorful set of swings, and accompanying jungle gym, as well as an attached slide at the center of this small, worn public park where teenagers escape during school hours from the nearby high school to smoke what they call tree, or even worse, wet. And we're addicts, usually in the evening, as the sun withdraws, or in these hours just before dawn. On one of the 5 swings that adjoin the jungle gym swings John Gavin, our veteran teacher of English literature, now in his early 60s. You should note, but pay undue attention, his faint Irish accent. Of this primitive origin, he admits. Nonetheless, he is gently swinging and reading student essays. In this practice, he is unrelenting. Occasionally, he comments in the direction of the void beyond the proscenium, where sit faithfully perched all of you, our noble audience.
Interrupting De Quincy, a woman in her late 30s crosses the stage and halts when she reaches De Quincy. Her name is Shakia Winthrop. She is looking for her son, Khalil.
I'm looking for my son out here. He didn't come home last night. He's 17 years old, and this isn't like him at all.
Well, I haven't seen anyone. What's his name? If I see him, I'll say that you were looking for him, and you seem very concerned.
Khalil. His name's Khalil. You dress kind of different. Where are you from?
I'm just visiting.
Are you on drugs?
Haven't touched that stuff in over 200 years.
200 years? This neighborhood crazy. So, where are you from?
I'm from London, England.
Ain't that something? England. If you do see Khalil, tell him I'm worried sick. But I had to go to work, up all night searching the streets for him. You be careful out here. From England.
Right. Khalil.
A garbage truck and rubbish collectors can be heard in the distance, and 2 collectors walk across the stage from left to right, rhythmically slinging trash bags into the proscenium, as if that space were their truck. They talk as they work.
Who's the old head?
That's a teacher from the school down the block.
What is he, loco?
Nah, that's Gavin. They call him Doc, or sometimes Old G. Or when they're mad at him, just Gavin, or Damn Gavin. My kid Teresa had him. She hated the homework. Damn that Gavin, it's too much. And there's a test tomorrow.
Now where's your Teresa?
Got a job in Allentown. She's working up there. Loves nursing, studying to be a nurse. Working in the hospital still.
Why's he sitting on the swing? Stupid looking.
He takes the early subway downtown. Sits there, because the building ain't open yet. He's getting ready for school.
De Quincy, who has been standing at the margin during the opening dialogue, walks across the stage, climbs the jungle gym with Bird, and takes his place above the frozen form of the slightly swinging John Gavin.
If I read 7 more of these before 7:30, I can hand them back today. These kids are so thoughtful. Mercedes, you're right. Thomas De Quincy was one sad animal, yes, to the point of desperation. But remember, there's always hope. De Quincy may seem like a tiresome, racist, didactic, pedantic, and self-absorbed ingrate. At times to the point of deathly boredom. However,
Gavin looks suddenly above to the place on the jungle gym where De Quincy sits and nearly falls off his swing in surprise, dropping suit and papers and his pen, all of which he stands to collect.
for Christ's sake, what are you doing here?
Tiresome, didactic, pedantic, and self-absorbed. Really, John?
Well, you do go on a bit. Like, every year about this time, I've assigned them to read your confessions. What we learn, more than anything, is to think back on what we've done or failed to do. You can still teach us that, De Quincy.
But then, ingrate? That's not fair.
Privileged, self-important, though, and you certainly never consider the people around you. Wherever your disconsolate soul has been these past couple of centuries, your gaping flaws have had to been pointed out to you.
That will be the job of the saints and the angels of heaven, whom unfortunately you will never have an opportunity to meet, and moreover to whom I'm sure you have already proven yourself to be the most insufferable of all moralizing hypocrites. Oh, and the young Americans whom you teach must find you excessive, redundant, and morose.
I have papers to grade. What do you want? You never seem quite comfortable being yourself. Let's peel away some of that gentility.
Very well. I am here for a reason.
You usually have something to tell me. Get on with it.
Well, I've been following the lives of those whom you call the lost ones, whose spirits go languishing in the torrents of what the New York Times refers to as the opioid crisis.
Ah, the lost ones.
Both pause, stare stage right in the direction of addicts who have entered the scene.
The lost ones.
He gazes stage right where addicts appear at the very margin. They are cooking a fix of heroin and sharing the needle. They appear agitated until after spiking, at which point they go limp and incoherent, one of them flailing arms with needle hanging.
I have taken a keen interest in proposals that this city, and particularly this neighborhood, needs centers that will provide free, safe places for heroin injection. Are they dangerous, John?
What do you think? They are lost.
They are lost. They are lost. They are lost. Are they poets?
Most of them have the ability to be poets, but they've given up. They're slowly committing suicide.
Trish Murphy, a former student of Gavin, with hair closely cropped and an elaborate tattoo on her neck of a veritable bouquet of bright green shamrocks, appear from behind a jungle gym and climbs with agility over it to join De Quincy.
Trish Murphy, meet Thomas De Quincy. You have a lot in common. Trish died 3 years ago, but like you, they continue to hang around.
Well, I visit him.
It is enormous fun, don't you think?
Oh yeah, he gets so freaked out.
Trish, tell Mr. De Quincy how you died.
I don't want to.
Up to you.
Honorably, I'm sure, Trish.
Newsflash, Gav. I was wandering around around the principal's office, and
Invisible wandering. Yet another of your many talents.
school's gonna open late because there was a fire in an abandoned factory on Emerald Street. There's so much poison in the air, the superintendent must have seen that drone on TV, and some wonk called our principal to tell him to delay the opening. You love that, right, Gavin? You'll be stuck on the swing all morning.
If you're not going to tell De Quincy how you died, I won't know whether to ignore you or to entertain you, with a race to see who can swing higher.
You're still so much fun, Gav. I drive you crazy interrupting you like this, right, old head? You have to admit, though, I always read you like a book.
Yes, and I've always wished that you had read books like you read me. Like a book.
Hold it. You're Thomas De Quincy from Confessions of an English Opium Eater, right?
None other.
So you actually did read the De Quincy assignments. Why didn't you ever reveal that to me?
I seemed every night to descend, not metaphorically, but literally to descend into chasms of sunless abysses, depths below depths, from which it seemed hopeless that I could ever reascend. How could I forget that? That's the hell addicts live in every day. I never heard a better description.
So why didn't you compose your own thoughts in an essay of your own?
I did, I just never handed it in.
But why? You were always so extraordinarily bright.
Come on, Gav. I didn't want to seem smart in school. I already had enough unwanted harassment for being out, and yeah, it was too much fun watching you stressing. And Trish, where's your final assignment on Thomas De Quincy's Confessions? I don't seem to have it here with everyone's submissions.
Funny. Why don't you tell Thomas De Quincey how you died?
Slides down the slide and climbs back up to where De Quincey is sitting, ignoring the questions about their death.
So what's up? What brings you to Franklinville?
Tell him how you've been reading the New York Times and
I want to know about the proposed neighborhood centers that will allow the city to establish free, safe spaces for addicts to inject themselves.
I don't get it. What is he talking about?
well, in your absence, we have elected a new mayor and new ward leaders and a number of city councilors, and they have been talking about establishing safe places for heroin addicts to go shoot up instead of using the playground here or the school parking lot or other spots around the barrio.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
But wouldn't that be more humane
The spaces will be free of dealers and pimps and police.
and healthier?
The needles would be clean.
And I was reading that a nurse or doctor would be there to save the person in the event of an overdose.
Jesus, fall back, y'all. Don't gang up on me like that.
All right, Trish. Why don't you tell Thomas De Quincey how you died?
It's stupid because addicts don't deserve anybody spending money on them, especially in this broke down city. They made their decisions. Forget about them.
But addiction is an illness, Trish. Surely people who are ill deserve care and assistance.
I'm so tired of people talking about caring and compassion. But when it comes to actually helping people, where are these people that want to be kind? They're nowhere to be found.
You may be right, Trish.
They're liars. They're all poisonous, bunchback toads as far as I can tell.
When did I last hear anyone call that? Poisonous bunchback toads.
Shakespeare's Richard III. He has the best insults. I don't even need the F word anymore.
Tell Mr. De Quincey how you died. Tell him about the night you died, Trish. Let's not get off track.
All junkies do is leech off of people. And you want to give them clean needles, counselors, and nurses? Where were the programs for me? You know, I tried, Gav. I got clean. I did my time. And nobody gave two spits.
Trish, can you tell me how you died?
No, it hurts too much.
Bending over, holding your sides in anguish.
You wrong, Trish, because you suffer so.
I guess so.
When Williams Wordsworth's precious child Catherine passed from her suffering to a more ethereal plane, I, being then living, slept nightly on her grave for time of weeks on end, knowing as I did, that if I accompanied her spirit, she would have peace from the coffin lid and banks of her lonely and disenchanting grave.
Wow, you're for real. Like we say, you 100.
Yes, Trish. We may now both be shades, but we are real. That would be, we are 100. I was drawn to opium as to the soaring heights of a luxurious delirium.
So you got high a lot, right?
Only to, by proportionate depression, afterwards fall always into a torpor, so rife and scalded and debilitating that I would eat my own flesh to consume the infernal rat that I felt crawling through my being.
Stuff tames you up.
I am here to lend a thoughtful and consoling ear, Trish.
Listen, I was about to turn my life around. I did a bit for 6 months in juvie for possession of drugs, holding a gun, having big money on me. Cops called that the Holy Trinity. Case was closed before I even saw the assistant to the assistant to the assistant DA, who sent me away. But Kelly always said I owed him money and that I was stupid for getting caught. Kelly's a monster worse than any nightmare that you came in your opium aftermath.
He sounds like an Irish swindler.
Pointing to the shamrocks emblazoned on their neck.
And you sound kind of racist, D. That's grimy, yo. Irish people are just as good as you.
Sorry. That's right. Like Gavin, you are sensitive on that point.
Let's not go there. The fact is, I did my time, I got back into school, and old head Gavin was keeping me on point. Even back when I was alive, though, I was haunted.
A frail addict, ghost-like, floats from the corner where she has been shooting up. Trish stares at her, arms outstretched.
You know who she is, D? That's my mom's. I was followed by apparitions of her even in life.
By apparitions. Trish, why do you speak with such, I don't know, eloquence at times?
Because at times,
I actually did my homework for AP English, and because calling her an apparition is the only way of saying that she never stopped being beautiful to me, no matter what. She was waif-like and elegant whenever I got to see a glimpse of somebody and thought of her.
The first night I used, I was free for the first time in my life. Then that's all I wanted. Then I wanted it again, and again, and again. I never give my whole life to nothing before. Even for 2 seconds kissing the sky, I'd go anywhere. I'd do anything.
I can't hear that.
But she's paralyzed, my child. She sees her life, but she can do nothing. Like we who are dead, she feels unable to surmount action upon the events around her. Opium is her god, her motivator.
That is a gross that's just lie.
Tell him how you died, Trish. Tell him about that night.
Trish's mother, the slender, helpless addict, asks quietly, definitively.
Listen, a junkie abandoned me. She disappeared from my life. Why should anybody show her love or what y'all call empathy?
But tell him, Trish. You must tell him.
She walked the streets at night and shot junk in her veins. I always wondered if she even thought of me, remembered me, was even coherent enough to remember mine or Deirdre's names. Now the idiots in charge want to create a program. Hey, what are they going to give them next? Free drugs too?
Let's talk about that night. The night you died.
I was clean, D. That night has nothing to do with anything.
A nun wearing a long brown mendicant robe tied in the middle with a long white cord in the style of St. Francis of Assisi approaches the jungle gym from stage left. She takes a seat on the swing next to Gavin.
Who the hell is this?
Sister Regina worked at the drop-in center under the L train stop, where it all happens at night. The drug deals, the getting high, the hookups. She was a medical missionary nun in her homeland of Dominican Republic. Then created a center for women drug users here in Franklinville, and hosted junkies seeking asylum from pushers, and assisted getting clean. And I'm not going to ask her how she died. She probably wouldn't want to talk about it.
I love pestering you, Gavin. I show up in his house to ask him questions all about. I'm sorry. I show up in his house to ask him questions we all know irritates him. When did you last attend Mass? Do you still teach Jane Eyre? Why do you force people to read authors from the 1800s?
And what, pray tell, is wrong with reading 19th century authors?
Mija, I'll tell you. Your beloved mother came into the drop-in center once. She was so thin, so delicate, so pale, white and sickly. She was nervous. She was frightened. When she saw that I was a nun, she asked me if I thought she could ever be forgiven. She said, "Sister, I have 2 kids I left, Trish and Deirdre, and I haven't seen them for years. Can I ever be forgiven?" And she cried and cried and cried.
And you told her, God forgives everybody, right?
Yes.
I'm actually glad I'm dead. How could you tell her that?
I told her that her tears were proof of her love. Her walking into the rescue center was a sign that she wanted to change. No one chooses that life. I got her tested HIV. I got her shoes, warm coat. I got her a shower and a room to rest.
And then what happened?
I never saw her again.
What did I tell you? She remembered our names?
Yeah. And she said it over and over again. It was like it was a prayer.
Can you tell Sister about the night you died, Trish?
I had been good for a long time. 2 years, maybe more. Then somebody on the block tells me, Kelly's coming for you. And I laughed. Then people in the neighborhood sort of stopped talking to me. I walked down to the corner store and it gets quiet. Suddenly, people stop talking as I walked in. Sean passes me on the sidewalk Wednesday night and I say, "What's up?" Like I always do, and he didn't answer. My aunt says she ain't sure I should stay in the house no more. Maybe I should get out of town soon. Probably by the end of the week, she says. She doesn't want any trouble.
Well, what was the situation with Kelly?
Like I told you before, D, Kelly supplied the drug for me, where I was selling when I was in that. He still claimed I owed him money. To Kelly, it doesn't matter if I owed him money or not. It's the example and the word on the street that I scooped him. That's even more important to him than the paper.
I know exactly the sort of fellow. So, what happened?
I needed money to get a train to get out of town, probably go up north to a place on Easton where my uncle is the janitor. It's Friday, payday. I know I don't got much time. I figure I'll call Gavin, hit him up, ask him, tell him about the situation. I figured he'll meet me somewhere and give me some cash so I can get a train or a bus. I can't go home because they might be looking for me at my aunt's house, so I went over to my girlfriend Kathy's house and I just kept leaving Gavin messages. Gavin, man, I need to talk to you. I need help. I'm scared. Please, please, please call me back.
Where were you? And why didn't you return Trisha's call?
I was sound asleep on my couch after a brutal day at school. When I woke up and returned Trisha's call, it was too late.
Finally, I was so hungry, I walked down to the Chinese shop on Kathy's block to get something to eat. While I'm in there buying rice, tasty cake, cigarettes, I see Emmett on the sidewalk walking up, bugging. That's Kelly's man, and I didn't think. I just dropped everything and ran, darting a zigzag up the street. I looked back just in time to see him taking aim, firing, hitting me square in the middle of my back. That was it. I didn't know exactly how bad it was, but Emmett don't like to run, so I knew he'd just walk up now. And I'm waiting for him to finish the job, and I'm just thinking about my mom's. Sister Regina, I just wanted to tell her, though. I wanted to tell her what had just happened. I was hurt. I wanted to know I wanted her to know that I was really trying to do better. I wanted her to know that I wondered if she even remembered me. Did she even know Deirdre's in my name? How could I tell her, sister? How could I ask her? When Emmett reached me, he emptied the clip in my head. That's what happened to me, Dad. I'm sorry I never told you. Thanks for trying to help. And that's my confession to Quincy.
Pausing, all remained frozen for at least 1 minute. From the tableau on stage, James Winthrop, Khalil's father, entered the stage from the left. He is dressed in a mechanic's uniform. He halts when he sees Gavin.
Mr. Gavin, what's going on, man?
You're Khalil's father. Oh, I'm good. How are you? How's Khalil? As of yesterday, he has missed more than a week of school.
My wife was up all night searching for him. And now, I just arrived home from the night shift, and there's still no sign of him. I don't know what in God's good earth he's been up to. Missing school, now not to come home last night.
He's such a bright young man.
Well, take care of yourself, Mr. Gavin.
I hope you can get home and rest a bit.
After James Winthrop's exit and a pause, the image of an overwhelmed Khalil enters the stage from behind the jungle gym in the same way that Trish first entered. Khalil climbs to the top and takes a seat at the front, next to Thomas DeQuincy.
Khalil, what happened to you?
I don't want to say.
He bends over in pain, holding his sides.
Now the playground is a place for kids beginning to grow. But now that same place is where the kids forbidden to go. 200 years and now it's all beginning to show. All they want is profit and in return they're giving them hope. That's more medication for other medication. The cycle was designed to keep them all from elevating. The family cries but it seems like the words ain't penetrating. The body count is rising, climbing, accelerating. With no signs of slowing down, they ended up with nothing but a sleeping bag on the ground. And right now, they probably rolling up their sleeves. Some saying it's a choice. Others say it's a disease. Please, there's no way you could convince me. It's the same choice that's been made since the days of DeQuincy. The same choice that's been made now is plague in the city. Nobody told them to do it, so nobody shows them pity. But we can't judge if we ain't been in that position. Addiction to opium was never really the decision. Equivalent to being stuck up in the prison with no escape. Maybe we just need to see their vision. Let us listen to see where they coming from. Can't get them help until we can see what they running from. Because nowadays they treat the pain and not the source. They running back to the flame that gave them pain once before. Feeling like they're gonna lose it. They want to be clean, but afraid to go through it. Proposing a safe site. Some saying that it's stupid because we want them to quit, not enable them to do it. But here's a message for the public. Don't stand on the side and watch your loved ones plummet. And I'm just keeping it 100. I ain't got the answers, but I think it's time that we discuss it.